Okay, we're starting today out in the monitor dungeon down here in the basement. I lovingly refer to it as the monitor dungeon. What this is this is my overflow of, as you can see, chassis and spare parts and monitors and tubes and stuff. So if there's a machine at the arcade where the monitor goes out, I can just pull it out, grab one of these, throw it in, and get the machine up and running, take that dead monitor back home here, fix it, and add it back to the collection here for repeating the cycle. But I've obviously got more than I could ever hope to want or need. So if you're in the Wichita, Kansas area, if you ever find yourself in the Wichita, Kansas area and you want to drive by and snag a few of these things, I'll be more than happy to hook you up. So I'll put my contact email down in the description. You can send me a message. Hey, I'm going to be in your area at some point. I want to grab a monitor. I got plenty to go your way. So let me know. But the purpose of this video is to kind of showcase some of this stuff that I have to work through, and we'll grab a couple of U5000s here and start working on those. But I have all this giant pile of overflow I'm trying to get rid of, out of the way I should say, like get all this stuff repaired, add them back up to the stack of stuff and have them ready to go. Like I got a giant box here of K7400s and K7500s. That's all this is. There's like a dozen 7400, 7500s. Like this is a 7500 with the remote located with transistor. That's an odd thing to do, but an obvious giveaway is what I meant to say. This is a 7500. Like here we have a 7400 that says high voltage ticking, so we know what's wrong with that HOT. So I have a dozen of those to go through. I have a Henrix MTC 9000 to get fixed up. I have a K4915 and a yoke in here in this box. So this is a medium res 4900 with a yoke. So I actually have 1, 2, 3 19-inch commercial televisions we can do tube swaps on. So I think for a future project we're going to take this medium res 4900 and grab the yoke and do a yoke swap on one of these commercial TVs for a full video on yoke swap, convergence, all that stuff, and see how we can make that look. That'll be a future video. So the Henrix, the 4915, in here is a bunch of random stuff, K7200s and a couple Cortex. Nothing really special about those. This box here is a actual giant commercial computer chair box that is stacked to the top with chassis I have to go through. I'm not going to go through all those right now. And then we have 2 K4600s and then 2 Henrix Polos in that box. But for the purpose of this video, I have to go through all this stuff at some point. So no end in sight for videos anytime soon. But for this video, I've got a couple of U5000s here that were donated that I'm going to try to go through and get both of these fixed here. Maybe in one video, I'm not sure. But that's what we're going to do. I want to just kind of showcase all this stuff down here. If you're ever in the area and you want to grab a monitor or 2 or 3, or a chassis 2 or 3, let me know. But yeah, that's what all this stuff is that's down here. Just if you're wondering where all this stuff all goes when I get it fixed, here it is. So I need to take this back upstairs. We're going to unwrap all this, go through all of it, and see what kind of condition these are in, if they're repairable, if they're not repairable. Maybe just do a showcase, tutorial, overview, see what we get. So I see there's a Flyback right there, cap kits, parts, very nicely wrapped, but yeah, so let's get this upstairs and see if we can get both of these 5000s back to life, and then we'll have to move on to the rest of this stuff at some point in the future. Alright, so here we are back on the bench. Here is the container with our stuff. So let's go through and just start seeing what we have here. Obviously 2 neck boards. We have thermal grease and insulators and HOTs and cap kit singular. I think cap kit singular. Yeah, cap kit singular. Okay. And HOTs and I see a MOSFET and a Q703 and we got 2 HOTs and 2 neckboard transistors, 2 neckboard driver resistors, I should say, a Q703 and a MOSFET, and we're going to be in for a treat here, I think. Let's put this back in here for now. Okay. And we have what looks like a factory flyback. Nope, that's a replacement flyback. Well, okay. That's a K7000 flyback. Uh-oh, I think somebody ordered the wrong flyback for this. Might be part of their problem, but this is... And they installed it too because the ground pin's cut off. So somebody installed a 7000 flyback thinking that it was the right one for this. So probably somebody told them incorrectly or their research was wrong. But we have a K7000 flyback here. Number one, Sparky. That doesn't bode well for us. Number two here says, oh, Daytona. So probably a Daytona USA. So what else? We have a note, and the note says we have information. Hey Mike, just some notes about these two chassis, aka Sparky. I call it Sparky because last time I tried to fire it up, Q101 sparked and the fuse blew. Came with my Cruisin' USA cabinet, has blown fuses since I got it a few weeks ago, replaced a bunch of stuff, still blows. Well, if you put the wrong flyback in it, that's not good, but okay, number two, I call it 5000 because I got it from a guy in Daytona and it's a U5000. Okay, fair enough. Originally had no power, but did pass light bulb test, but was not blowing fuses. Started blowing fuses after I replaced Q101 using number one Q101 as a donor replaced. A bunch of stuff. Okay, well, you're probably thinking, where the hell's the other flyback? I stupidly threw away the two that came with the chassis after removing them. Accidentally only ordered one. Okay, so you did order the wrong flyback. Okay, that's a K7000 flyback. All right. Also, you'll probably notice right away both W159 jumpers are pulled on the, okay, because they're light bulb test. Yeah, all right. I have included a brand new flyback. Okay, we've already established that's the wrong one. Brand new cap kit, which appeared to be correct. All the parts he pulled. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, good luck. Thanks, Brandon. All right. So, let's just take a visual look here. And we have the remote board, so that's good. Everyone's always scared of the U5000. You don't have to be. It's no different than the 7400, 7500, 2000, 5000. It's all the same thing. It's just once you know what to look for, what to do, it's not that different. I see that this resistor is completely burned up, the trace here. Holy cow. We'll probably have to replace that, but that's on the output horizontal side. We'll deal with that later. Remote board seems intact. Oh, there's one broken pot, two broken pots. Ha-ha! Shipping casualties. We'll replace those. It's always important to check these because if you fire this up with, say, a broken V position pot, you could have collapse and damage your vertical IC. See, we don't have vertical size is height. Vertical size and vertical position are both broken. We absolutely would not have had deflection, and we could have damaged our IC if it's not already bad. So keep an eye on these when you take this stuff in for repair or you work on it yourself. This is broken, but we can just snake this back together when it's time to put it back together. That's no problem. So we'll set that aside, and we'll see what we find with this. So let's begin by just examining the board here. We'll start with our power supply. Well, he talked about changing the MOSFET, but it's not how it's supposed to be installed in there. And the inductor, this is supposed to have an inductor here, and someone removed the inductor and just installed an actual, just a jumper. Well, that's not how you want to do that. There's supposed to be an inductor here. And also, R104 is completely missing. So we're missing R104, we need to find an inductor, and we need to inspect the rest of this. Yeah, I don't think there's supposed to be a cap right there. Yeah, there's no evidence of there ever being a cap there. Okay. Well, gonna have to find the right inductor, find R104, and then kind of go from there. So let's do that. Do I have an extra R104 here? I've got MOSFETs. There's 2 MOSFETs right here that are brand new. I can use those. These are the neckboard transistors. B+ pots, all kinds of crap here that I don't need. Here's more neckboard transistors, more RGB encoders. Well, I have an R104 and a MOSFET. No, that's a width control transistor. So I have a resistor here, but it's damaged. Now, how in the world did that happen? I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know. Well, let's leave that out. May need some more stuff out of it. I didn't have an inductor. I don't think I did anyway. Yeah, I don't see one down in there. Does this even read 100 or 10K? I thought I had a bunch of those. I thought I ordered a bunch of these. Yeah, 10.04K. So I mean, technically it'll work. Right, perfect. Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and install it just so we can test, but I swear that I ordered a bunch of those. No, that's 3. Nope. I don't know what I did with them, but I couldn't possibly have gone through all of them, but it looks like that's what I did. Huh. Yeah, because I had a whole bunch of these, and I must have used them all. Huh. Yeah. Let me look in my parts closet over here if I have one that's not... I have to look in the parts closet anyway to grab an inductor, but let me look through the parts closet and I'll be right back. Well, I was able to find a spare parts U5000 here in my parts stash over here in the closet. It does not have an R104, I already robbed it, but it does have the inductors. So we're going to go ahead and just steal this inductor. Actually, I forgot to turn my iron on. We're going to install this R104. Even though it's kind of all broken, it does read our proper 10K ohm. So we'll be able to at least use it for testing, and then I'll have to order some more or something. But you can see here, oh, hang on. Not sure how that got on. Okay, yeah, 10.05K. Maybe you can't see that. I don't know. 10.05K. So we'll use that just for some testing. And while we're waiting for the iron to heat up, let's go ahead and test the MOSFET. And it should be diode mode. We should get negative lead on the top. We should get a 0.5 and a 1.0. 0.5 and 1.0. So that MOSFET is good. I think part of the problem with this is that they didn't have the inductor installed. They just put a jumper across there. I'm not saying that Brandon did that. I'm saying that somebody at some point in the past put that inductor. Now, I just realized, is R104 in this bag? R104 is not in this bag. So, obviously, if you're not running it, if R104 is completely missing, that would definitely cause problems, but there's not an R104 in this bag. So, If this was trying to be ran without an R104, well, that would certainly cause problems. So, I'm back to saying so every other word. Let's go ahead and get this straight wire out of here. Now these inductors like to run very hot, and I probably should look up the specs on it and just buy a modern equivalent that's not as prone to burning up. But I haven't done that, so we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Alright, there's our wire removed. And you can see how hot it gets. It just burns that completely. And it must be a medium resolution thing, because this one's kind of all burned up too. But it's the right one for the U5000, and we don't want to install something without the right, or that has the wrong inductance. So we're going to steal this one from an actual 5000. It's all bent over. There we go. Okay, and there it is. It's just a bunch of wire wrapped around a ferrite core, but you can see how it just kind of, it gets so hot that it's burning things up there, that all these pieces are falling off of it. But there it is, and that's what we want. So let's install it. And make sure that it fits in there. I might have to solder one leg in and then lift it up to get the other one in, because this wire is so thin that it doesn't want to push down through the hole there. Alright, there we go. Let's see if we can grab this other one and lift it up out of there. Hey, there we go. Alright. Okay, let's get our temporary R104 installed. And there we have it. So MOSFET checks good. R104 is installed. Our inductors installed. I don't see anything else visually that we should have to look at. AC input headers look okay. Well, let's grab a fuse, which I know I've got some of those, or I should anyway. I should just dump this out and leave it dumped out, because I've been going through this thing probably half a dozen times trying to find stuff. I don't have any fuses? What in the world? Well, that is odd. Yeah, that's very odd. Well, we can just use our 2 amp. It's a 3.15 amp slow blow. So we're going to use our 2 amp slow blow circuit breaker. Actually, I've mentioned this before, but what this is, it's just a circuit breaker attached to some alligator leads. And the part number of these, this is a 2 amp circuit breaker. Ideally you'd want to use a 3 amp, but that's fine. It's not going to draw 3 amps of current. Just doing a light bulb test, or really even your monitor. I mean, the whole machine, the machine that runs a 25-inch monitor only pulls like 2.1 amps, so a 3.15 amp is about the right rating for over usage, or over current, if you will. But using a 2 amp just to do our testing here will be fine. But this is a Clixon circuit breaker 2 amp slow blow 7277-2-X. The last number is your amp. So if you want a 3 amp, it's 7277-2-3, 4, 5, 6, whatever amperage you want to use. But yeah, so we'll just go ahead and use this for now. Man, I'm losing my mind because I swear I had a whole bunch of those R104s and fuses, but I guess it's just, they're just missing. I don't know where they're at. So let's grab this. We'll hook up to this side of the... So if you're unfamiliar, I'll link down below the video for the light bulb test, but you remove this little W159 jumper. There's a little jumper metal wire there. You lift that out of this side, and that isolates the power supply from the rest of the board. That's already lifted out, as Brandon mentioned in his note. But let's turn or hook that up to there. Then we'll go over here and hook our negative lead to the frame right there. And if this power supply is functional, this should light our light bulb. And hook this up to there. There's power. Okay, let's see what we get. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Something, well, this is definitely living up to its name. Sparky? This is Sparky. this is Daytona. Daytona is sparking too. That came from right here. There's even a little mark on the board there. Let's clean this off. Try that again. 1, 2, 3. Hey, it works! Let there be light. Okay. Well, what did he say about this one? The U5000 originally had no power, but did pass light bulb test. Okay, but it was not blowing the fuse. Started blowing fuses after I replaced Q101. Well, why would you replace Q101 if the power section is, if the light bulb test is working? Why would you change Q101? Because that's the MOSFET. If the power supply is working, then the MOSFET is functional. So there was no need to replace Q101, and now it says still blows fuse. So it did pass light bulb test, but changed Q101. So I'm not sure how it could have possibly passed the light bulb test with but no inductor and a missing R104. It doesn't say anything about removing R104. No. Well, the mystery is continuing, but at least we have a functioning power supply. Now I wonder what our B plus is at. Should be somewhere around 117. And we get, again, negative. You just to the same point you have the light bulb hooked up to, and we get 114. Well, that's too low. Let's see if we can remove this RTV here that somebody has conveniently stuck on here for us. And alcohol is not going to help with this. This is some type of room temperature vulcanization, and I think that might have done it. I don't think that it's, the glue is still intact. That's why they put this RTV on here. Yes, I can move it. but it's not easy. That may have sounded bad, but that's just the glue breaking. Okay, I can move it. All right, let's turn this back on. And let's see if I can get that to stay in there. Okay, touch this. 112. Oh, wrong way. Whoop. 110. I can't turn it with my fingers because of the stupid... That little pop you saw there in sparks, disregard that. 113. We'll put it at 116.8 and that should be good. Can you even see that? Yeah, 116.8. Yeah, so okay, that's better. That spark was... Don't worry about that. Do this at your own peril. I'm not entirely sure if that's something I did or if there's something else going on there, but our power supply is now functional. I need to see if I can figure out how to replace that R104 with a good one at some point in the future, but it does work. So we'll just run with it for now. The other one here has an R104 on it, so we're not going to have to worry about doing this twice. And again, here's our K7000 flyback, so that'll be a nice addition to the collection down here. But I'll see if I have a U5000 flyback now that I'm thinking about it. Yep, I got one right here. Alright. So, is this a used one or... Yeah, this is a original one. So at some point in the past, I had a U5000 I thought had a bad flyback. So I took this one out and it actually wasn't the problem. I put a new one in, didn't fix the issue, so I just left the new one in. So I know this one's good, an original factory good one we can use. But, okay. So our power supply is good. And let's go ahead and put our jumper back in now, so we don't forget to do it later. And it's all bent up, so I'm going to have to flatten it back out here before we try and no, probably going to have to just make a new one. This one's all kind of hacked up. I don't want to have to make a new one, but that's probably what we're going to have to do is make a new one. And that's right here. So we'll just make a new one real quick, no big deal. We'll just use a component leg, make ourselves a new one. Do 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 do. Let's leave enough so we can install it in a board and bend this ever so slightly. And let's see if that's the right size. I may have turned it a little too early. Yeah, not even close. So let's bend that back out and a little bit less of a turn. And we'll have to go with this. So let's get that installed. Alright. See if I can finagle this in here. Success. Got it. So we shouldn't need to remove that again because we know our power supply is now functional. So we'll go ahead and make sure that stays in there. Something else I noticed when looking this over is the HOT. Looks like some type of odd one I've never seen. It's a C3688. It's the right one, but it just looks, the package looks odd. I just wonder if it's any good, which we would have gotten to it anyway at some point, but it doesn't really even appear to be soldered in properly. But let's just see if it's any good. Well, it's not shorted, so yeah. So now we have a good power supply. I want to inspect. So this is not too burned up. Usually these are burned up really badly, and you got to pull them out and clean them off, the pins I mean, and put it back together. But for now, let's just run it on standard res. This is all loose, which is normal. Caps are original except for this one here. So let's see what else we have going on here. Q708. I thought it was 708. Is it 703? It might be 703. This guy here, if that transistor is bad, nothing will happen. It won't turn on. That's part of your horizontal drive circuit, basically. So, but I wonder what this resistor here reads, and we'll compare it to one that's not burned to hell up. I got all kinds of oxidation readings. Let's read the back here. Open? Oh, well, that could be part of our problem. Take that puppy out of there. Surprised that pad isn't broken off of there. Okay, so here is this resistor out of circuit, and it reads, leads are good, 0 ohms. This resistor is 1K. What is it supposed to read? Because this one is not burned up. 1K. So that resistor is good, even though it looks haggard. You got the new Narkill CD? Yeah, of course we got Narkill, you moron. They rule. Oh yeah, well I think they suck. Woo-dee-woo-woo. If you know what that's from, 10 cool points to you and your family. Get this back in here. Ideally, you'd want to replace this resistor with a fresh one, but I just want to get this working. We can go back and do all the other little maintenance like that later. So that reads good. Someone's got a replacement B+ resistor. This is the resistor that all the B+ runs through right there. That's why it tends to burn up also, but it looks like it's in good shape. It's 4.7 ohms. Is that accurate? I don't know. Someone stole that one. Probably me. But we'll go off the assumption that it's correct. Okay, well let's check Q703. It looks like is what it is. I don't know why I was referring to it as 708. But again, we're just checking to make sure that it doesn't read shorted. And I believe it's going to be positive on this side, and then 0.6 to middle and the other end. 0.6 and, yeah, 0.6. So that's how you read that. That's some good readings. Doesn't mean it's good, just means it doesn't read bad. So, okay, well, I guess what we can do is install a Flyback. Our HOT checked out okay. Q703 checked out okay. U701 could be bad, but that's like the least thing to suspect. So I guess this is missing the little jumper. So on the U5000, this must be an early revision. There's supposed to be a jumper when you select standard or medium. There is a jumper over here where you have to have this little pin here. There is a wire that comes off of the vertical sweep mod here, and it runs to this little pin, and you have to move the jumper and connect the pin. I think you connect the pin for standard, and you disconnect the pin or move it to the other. It's a 2-pin connector with one white wire in it, and you put the white wire on the pin when you're running standard, and you move it over to the empty pin when you're running 25 or medium. I think that's how it goes, but this one doesn't appear to have that mod installed. I don't see anywhere where it could have been connected in the past. Not all of them had it. I think that only came on the later revision ones to kind of help with the vertical sweep. But I think for testing purposes, we'll just go ahead and not worry too much about it. But I am going to install this original U5000 Flyback that I know works. The ground hole is not opened up. There we go. And if this works, I need to solder that back in. If this works, I'll be amazed, because the only thing that was wrong with it was a missing R104 and the incorrect, I don't want to say the incorrect inductor in the power supply. It didn't really have an inductor at all. It was just a straight wire, so I'm not sure why someone would do that. But if this works, that's going to be all that was wrong with this. It had the wrong, well, it could have had a bad flyback, and somebody probably tried, well, I'm not saying Brandon did it, but it might have had a bad flyback, and they tried to install a K7000 flyback, and it didn't work for them. But I don't know. So that flyback is now installed. I don't know if having the wrong flyback in it would cause the fuse to blow, but you know, our power supply is good. We installed a good R104, which I need to replace with a better one that's more intact, but a good R104, the correct inductor, and B plus is adjusted. We verified this burned up resistor is within spec. Q703 is good. Yeah, I don't see any missing parts. And so I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just give it a try. But we need to inspect, well, we need to replace these two resistors first. Potentiometers. And then we'll check out our neck board. And I'm not interested in rebuilding it now. I just want to see if this thing works after fixing it up with what we've done so far. Alright, so there's that one out. That one is 10K. So the vertical position is 10K, and vertical size is 200K. Well, that shouldn't be a problem. I got those readily available because those are similar values to the Henrix Polo remote board, so I just happen to have a veritable cornucopia of those pots, because those pots on the Polos, when you plug those pins into the pots to those little adjustment pegs, it pops the back of the pot out, pops the back of the pot out, and then they don't work anymore. So I have a whole bunch of replacement pots in here. So here's a bunch of 10Ks. So we need a 10K for our position. Steal one of those. And then I need a 200K for right there, 200K. Yeah, the Polo stuff comes in handy for not just the Polo, but and our vertical size is 200K. So I'm going to take one of these. And install it in here. Then our 10K one goes here. And let's make sure I didn't mess them up, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. We got 10K and two 11K. So solder these in. Then we'll check out our neck board, and if it's in decent shape, we'll hook it up and just give this a try. I'll have to use my circuit breaker because I don't know what happened to my freaking fuses. They're somewhere. I had a bunch of fuses and a bunch of R104s, and I don't think I've used them all. I mean, the fuses never blow on these things. This thing could catch fire and burn your entire house down, and when they go and do the inspection and find the remnants of what's left over in your house, this fuse will still be good. So, yeah, I don't understand. But that's just how it is. Alright, so let's, well, that's nice. The pin's missing out of here. So if we look at this way, the red wire is to the left. And of course I can use the one that's missing a pin as a guide, so no big deal. So I'm going to have to plug that one on there and plug this on here. Mission accomplished. So let's inspect these neck boards and use whichever one is in the best condition here. Interconnect cable, and this one appears to be all original. No broken pots. We'll set these to about 25%, roughly there. I think the U5000 and the U5000, these like to be about 50%, and the K7400, K7500 don't like to be any higher than about 25%. Now that one spins completely around. Well, that's not good. But I'll set it right there, and we'll see. Oh, it's broken. Man. Why is everything always difficult? Can someone explain that to me? I would just like to know the reason as to why nothing can ever be easy. There's got to be some type of conspiracy out there. So now we got to find. I think these are 2K. It's 500 and 2K if I recall correctly. So the drive pots here are 200 ohms, so 200, not 500. And the bias pots are, I think they're 1K. All right, so put that about 25. So I do have pots in here. Here again, I should just dump this stupid thing out, but as soon as I do, I won't need anything. So 1K right here. The B plus pot is also a 1K pot, but man, okay, so let's put this in here. Just just like so, and we'll turn it down from full blast to about 25%. Solder it in. As far as these go, we'll just kind of straighten them up a bit. They're all jacked up anyway, but I'm not concerned about colors right now or any of this stuff. We're just going to see if it works. So everything looks okay otherwise. Popped traces, but they're intact. Alright, so G2 wire, focus wire, okay, get in there you, there we go. Neck board interconnect. A little bit of information for your edification. If you ever have a situation with any of these series of chassis, 2000, 5000, 74, 75, and this resistor here starts smoking hot, you've got this plugged in backwards. So it is possible for you to plug this connector in the other way. You know, there's supposed to be a little plug here, but if someone's removed that plug and you plug this in the opposite way, this resistor will start glowing white hot and smoking, and that's your indication that you have hooked this connector up in reverse. Ask me how I know. I don't want to admit. But anyway, if you ever have that problem, there you go. And hopefully if you have that problem, you'll have seen this video. Well, let's go ahead and give this a try. Everything else kind of is checking out on us, so get this back in here and put this back on. And I mean, we know our power supply is good, our W159 jumper is reinstalled, caps all look okay, Q703 is good, we got a known good flyback in there, our HOT checked okay, the insulator's fine. It's got some thermal compound in there. I'm not sure if it's conductive, but it's white, so it shouldn't be. We got our correct inductor, R104. Alright, let's get on the tube and hook up our circuit breaker and see if it does anything. Alright, so we're all hooked up on our U5000, original U5000 test tube. As you can see here, Wells Gardner monitors, 25-inch, 2550 was 25-inch 5000, so ready to go. It is a test tube. It is a little weak, so if you see like kind of muted colors or something, that's usually it's due to this tube anyway. But I'm not interested in hooking up a video signal right now. I just want to see if it turns on and gets raster and functions. Then we'll worry about adjusting stuff later. So I do have an MK2 board connected here in case it does work. We have our video connector at the ready, so I do need to move that sync wire. We'll do it later. Okay, all right. Well, let's just see what it does. We're all hooked up everything, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. It's dead because I forgot to connect. My stupid. Well, it's not stupid. I'm stupid. Forgot to hook up the fuse. So take 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. Nada. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. It has no signs of life. We can hook up our light bulb here and see what's going on. This other ground wire here is just a case ground to ground the frame to the chassis. So let's see if I can connect to here. Yes. Let's see if we got at least a light bulb. Yes, we have a light bulb, but we have no horizontal drive signs of life. Power supply is good, but our horizontal drive section is dead. Well, we're going to have to troubleshoot and figure out why our horizontal drive section is dead. It could be an issue with our drive transformer here. Could be any number of other reasons, but it does have signs of life. It's just only in the power supply, and very well could just be bad caps because, see this cap here? This is what usually happens when it gets hot. See how the top of the covering wraps over the top of this, and this one's missing? This is a sign that it's been overheated or something and the top has come apart. But anyway, it's not bulging, but it might be worth just recapping it. I'll go over some stuff, and if I don't see anything or find anything or figure out what's going on here, I'll just come back with it recapped and we'll try again. So let's see what we find out. All right, I think I found the problem, if not part of the problem. Q708. This guy right here is part of our horizontal circuit, which it's not even installed now, but it goes right here. It's Q708. That's part of our horizontal circuit that actually is responsible for energizing the HOT. And it goes through R760 and R765, these two resistors there, and travels back through the HOT circuit. And wouldn't you know it, resistor. If I turn this the other way around and plug it in, it says resistor. So it's over here on this side. If I flip this around, it's over there now. So we have a bad Q708. So I robbed the one off that parts chassis that we stole the inductor from the power supply for. And if I plug this one in and hit the button, boom, NPN transistor. So you got a bad Q708. How'd that happen? I don't know. But since that's faulty, I do want to check R760 and R765, because these resistors, if they are out of tolerance, can kill the HOT, but also could have damaged our Q708. So R760 should be about, I don't know, between 100 to 500 ohms, depending on the revision of the board. So if we check 760, we get, oh, R760 appears to be open. R765 should be about 33K, and we get nothing. $33K, boom, perfect. Well, R760 appears to be open, and I think I might have mixed these up here. Let me test this real quick. All right, that's our good one. All right, so let me take the bad one, set it aside with our other broken pots. Okay, and now we're gonna have to pop out R760 here, because that is bad. And that one is here. It's right above, right here. Well, this could certainly kill our horizontal drive, that's for sure. I did check the horizontal drive transformer for continuity. It's good, so that's not our problem. So let's take 760 out of the circuit here and see what's going on. If you have HOT, if you're going through HOTs, blow HOT, blow HOT. If your HOTs are getting popped like corn, popped like popcorn, R760, R765, and Q708 are your main suspects. But now that 760 is out, let's measure it out of circuit. Do we get anything? No. Leads are good. 0.0. Resistor. Open. Well, an open R760 and a bad Q708 would definitely cause no horizontal output. So let's go ahead and see if we can. I already stole the Q708 out of here, but 760 appears to have also already been stolen. So I need to find a somewhere between 100 and 500 ohm. I don't know what wattage this is, half watt or something. But I need to find another resistor to replace R760. Now, where, oh where will I find that? Let me find one, and I'll get those reinstalled here, and I'll show them installed, and we'll try to get this fired up again. I also thought maybe the shutdown pot was adjusted improperly, so I cut the glue off and adjusted it more towards the way it's supposed to be when it's reading 9.8. Oh no, I'm sorry, 9.8 is the K7000, I think. This one's supposed to be 0.01 or 0.1. I think it's 0.01. We'll find out later. But I don't think it was adjusted properly, or it needs adjusted anyway. So I did break that glue loose and moved it over to the right a bit, or clockwise. So we'll adjust that later, but properly anyway. But now I gotta find an R760. Let me find R760 and kind of go from there. Okay, so I got a replacement R760 installed, and you'll see here that it reads 490 ohms. So R760 can read anywhere between 100 ohms and 500 depending on the revision of the chassis. So 500 ohms is fine, and I got the new replacement Q708 installed as well. So I think what we need to do now is go ahead and give it a second try, because I'm confident that now it will at least do something and not be totally dead. So let me get this back together, and I'll get it on a tube, come back and see if it works. Alright, we're ready for take two. Got everything hooked up, our anode neck, yield ground power, and remote. Well, again, we don't need video yet, just want to see if it turns on. And this time I did not forget my circuit breaker fuse. So let's see if the R760 and the bad Q708 were the cause of this not having any horizontal output. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And the HOT immediately went out. I heard a little click, and now we get, listen, tick, 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 tick. So our HOT it was good, now it's not. I do not like these, I don't want to say off-brand, but if you recall, I did mention something about never seeing a package like that before. What I mean by that is that it's slightly different from what you would normally expect. So also that thermal paste could be conductive. I'm going to redo all that with an FJL 6920, which are these guys right here, the beefier, better HOTs. The 3688 HOTs that are out there on the market right now, they're all junk. Don't buy them. Get FJL 6920, and if you blow one of these, then you know you've got an actual problem. You may chase your tail trying to figure out, why am I blowing HOTs when actually the HOTs are junk? So if you have a 3688 HOT, I wouldn't even bother putting one of those in if you have this issue. Get a 6920, put this in. Let me get one of these in there and we'll try again. Okay, so I got the HOT out along with that insulator with all the thermal compound on it. I don't know if it's conductive, but we're not going to take the chance. I got an FJL 6920 installed with a new insulator, and yeah, if you see one like that, just get rid of it, put one of those in there, and you're good to go. So, well, you should be. So if this powers up now, then yeah, that thing is just a cheap junk. All those 3688s, just disregard. Okay, so take 3. Let's see what happens now. Oh, I forgot to reconnect my frame ground here. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Well, there you go. Yep. That 3688 was junk. Okay, so it does fire up and work. Okay, we'll turn it back off. And let's go ahead and hook up a video signal. All right. There we go. And 1, 2, 3. Here we go. This is what? 4th time? Here we go. Okay, it comes back on. That's good. I don't see any smoke. We have high voltage. It is functioning, and we have partial collapse, most likely due to bad caps, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's adjust our H hold here. H hold, and we got, whoop, and it just died. We had some pulsing there, bloop, 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 and it died. Let's see if it turns back on. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it does. And it looks like this. And it's pulsing again. I'm going to turn it off. Okay, well, it needs caps, so we have successfully resurrected this. I need to cap it, reflow it, do some more inspection, clean it up, and then we'll try again and see if we can get this 100%. Let's do that. Actually, I just realized it could be doing that little pulsing and then shutting off because I don't have the shutdown pot adjusted properly, because I did mess with it. So we have a little test point here that we hook our positive lead to, and the negative just goes to the frame for ground. And I'm going to see if we can adjust this to the point. It's 0.01, I think. Let's turn this on and see what it's set to right now. It's 0.2, so that's not right. Okay, it's 0.1. Okay. 0.1. So I was incorrect. It's 0.1, not 0.01. So 0.1 and okay, yeah, it's no longer, oh, there it goes, it's pulsing, turn it off. Okay. All right, well, let's go back to the original plan here of doing a cap kit reflow and see if we can get this working the way it's supposed to be. Well, and just like that, the full rebuild is complete. Cap kit, reflow, inspection, neckboard rework, straightened out all the heat sinks, made sure they weren't touching any of the transistors or the inductors or the resistors in between them. Got everything aligned and set properly, and all the reflow and everything done here and cleaned up, and neckboard is complete. Main board as well. I went ahead and installed the little sweep mod connector here. So on the U5000, on the standard res selection, you have to really, I attached this white wire to the wire here that has the other two wires, the red and the brown. Actually, no, I'm sorry, the orange wire, I'm sorry. The brown wire goes over to this connection. The orange wire goes here, but there's supposed to be a white wire also connected to this that runs over to this connector I mentioned before. So you have to have, I think part of our problem with that partial collapse, and it starts to wig out and then the monitor turns off, I started thinking about this, and it's probably because the little jumper wire here is missing. So I installed it. So when you have standard res selected, you have to have the wire connected to the pin. So in this instance, we would connect the white wire to the pin, just like so. Now, if we were to switch this over to medium res, you would take this and connect it to one of the other two empty pins, because you don't want to have this connected for medium res. So we would move it over to one of the other empty pins here, like that. So the white wire needs to be connected for standard res and not connected for medium res. But since we're going to test on standard res first, I'll install that wire onto the pin. And again, it goes here to the connection with the orange wire. I also removed the wires from the connector and cleaned them all up with my fiberglass pen. Get rid of the oxidation. Reconnected it. I also cleaned off all of the pins here for both connectors, so the pins are clean, the sockets are clean, good connection for that. I got the reflow and everything done. We got all the caps changed out. We got the board all cleaned up, and everything is ready for testing again. And I'm confident now that everything should be okay. So I'm going to get this on a tube. I didn't notice any other problems or issues, and so we should be able to test this again, have it ready and see what it does, and cross our fingers. Hopefully this time it works. Okay, so everything is hooked up, hopefully for one last time. We got our meter set up here to read our B+, because after the recap, and I don't think we ever actually tested it when it was working, we may need to readjust our B+. If it's 117, 118, we'll just leave it alone. It's supposed to be 117. We'll have to readjust our shutdown pot after doing the cap kit and reflow and everything too. So we got all that ready to go. We do have a video hooked up and an MK2 board, since we know the monitor at least provides a video signal. We're looking to see if that, oh, and also with this being connected now, hopefully we'll see the partial collapse gone and it won't shut off on us, things like that. And I also, of course, have our circuit breaker fuse installed. So here we go, hopefully for the final time here. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. What in the world? Circuit breaker popped. Interesting. I didn't do anything other than cap it and reflow it. I didn't make any mistakes. I double checked. I say I didn't make any mistakes, but is something touching on the bottom of the... Let's lift the chassis up a little bit. Let's just take one of these switches here and set this on that. Lift it up a bit. Let's pop this back in and try this one more time. 1, 2, 3. Nope. Wow. Okay, something is dead shorted. Wow. Okay, well, we're going to have to take it back off and see what's happening now. Well, I figured out the problem. It ended up being an issue with the MOSFET. The MOSFET was actually shorting. The one on the heatsink there in the power supply was shorting through the... not sure if you'll be able to see it, but the hole's not round anymore. It was shorting out of the corner of this insulator to the metal frame. And also, I saw it before, but I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, but it was missing that little top piece. See if I can show you here. That little top piece there that's supposed to be mounted to the top of it was missing. So I got a new insulator. I got that top piece mounted on top of there the way it's supposed to be, and now it's fine. So that was the problem. It was shorting out to the frame, which definitely would pop the fuse. So I think that might have been the issue originally as well with the popping fuse. So, all right, we're hooked back up with B+. Everything's reconnected, PCB, anode, neck, yoke, ground, power, video, remote, everything we need. So let's try again for test number 5, maybe? I've lost count by now, but let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yep, comes right on. There you go. And we're at 115. Needs to be 117, but we'll leave it as it is for now. What kind of image do we get, if anything at all? Okay, we got to adjust our H hold, which is here. We're all the way. Hey, there we go. And it's not, yeah, it's not shrunk at all. And I think for experimentation purposes, I'm going to disconnect this and see if it does that little shrink thing. Yes, okay, so this does need to be connected, and it was missing originally. So, all right, we need to turn our brightness and contrast all the way down. And let's set up our tripod here. Okay. And move that a bit. And let's see if we can make it look halfway decent. All right, so we did need that little jumper mod. Okay. Okay, brightness contrast all the way down. Screen pot. Let's go ahead and get us. Let's adjust our focus a bit. Actually, you know what? Let's go to our test pattern here. Let's do diagnostic tests, monitor patterns, crosshatch. Okay. Let's do. Let's turn our brightness down to roughly there. Or that was our flyback. Turn our flyback down to roughly there. Brightness up until our background's not black anymore. Back down until it just goes black. Turn contrast up. Well, that's brightness. I'm a Dr. Dinglenut here. Contrast. Okay, that's not bad. Let's do vertical position. Just one of the pots we changed. Vertical size. And do we have linearity issues? Oh, wow, yeah. Oh no, wait. H position. Just move our H position. You dingus. I am a dingus. Right there. Perfect with the hole in the middle of the frame to the center of the green. Perfect. Okay. Let's adjust our width back in. Okay. Well, we're still at 114.6 on our B+. Let's move our height back down. Well, boys and girls, there we go. Nice. Now we need to adjust our focus slightly. And that's about as good as it gets. Yeah, like I say, that's why this is a test tube, because it's not always perfect. I'm going to turn our colors down slightly. And where's my driver? There it is. Well, what do you think? I think that's not bad at all. It looks worse. Oh man, it looks way too blue in the camera. Wow, okay. Well, it's not too blue in person. But the most important thing is that it's working. And now we have a rebuilt, working, there we go, U5000. It's stable, looks great. I need to adjust our B plus because it's at 113.7. Let me turn it off and I'll reach in here and turn the pot slightly. It's got so much junk on it that it's hard to turn it. I'll turn it that way, okay. 115. And it's still 115. I didn't turn it. There's the glue and everything is still on it, so it's hard to really adjust it. I can't get a driver or anything in there to turn it. I gotta try and turn it with my fingertips, and it's not easy. Okay, let's see what that did. It's 115.5 now. Oh man. Well. There we go. See what that did. Nope, it's still the same. Well, let me get it adjusted here. Hang on a second. All right, so we're back on course here. The B plus is, if I can get it out of the, getting untangled here, and we're at 117.3. I don't know if you can see that, but good to go. And this thing looks amazing. Even though this is my test tube, it's a little bit tired. It looks phenomenal. So U5000 brought back to life. It's 100% now. We can give it our blessing, and assuming nothing explodes or goes bad, I think we're good. Next thing is we're going to have to test the 25 kilohertz. So I'll grab the Cruisin' USA board here, and we will turn it off. We'll remove MK2, and we will connect Cruisin' USA. We will remove our jumper and move it over to an empty pin, or let it dangle, whatever you want to do. It's your world. You do whatever you want to do. I can't get this thing to, there we go. Make sure that that's not in, that it's not, okay. Now I'll move the main connector over to the 25 spot. And we'll try medium res here. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Okay, B plus is 116.9, pretty much on the dot for 117. And we need to see how the image is dark. If I shift the H position over, it'll get brighter by magic. Well, we had actual image on the screen. Contrast needs to turn down, roughly there. Brightness down. Oh, that's not brightness. You're a numbskull. Brightness down to, there we go. H position over a little bit more. Let's do width right there. Vertical. The reason I have to do this over again is because it's different resolution, so everything is different on the adjustments. But hey, that looks great. Woohoo! Okay, we are 1 for 2 so far. Well, 1 for 1 technically, but we haven't tried number 2. But so far, we're 1 for 1, I guess is the right way to say it. This had, well, let me get this off the tube and we'll do a review on it. I guess, well, we don't need to do that. We have, what do we have? We had a bad insulator on the MOSFET that I think was causing the original problem of the fuse blowing for Brandon. Yeah, and then we had, what else? 3 broken pots, the bad insulator on the MOSFET. We had a piece of crap 3688 HOT. We had a bad Q708. We had an open R760. And I'm not sure. I think that might be all. You'll have to remind me. I don't know. If I forget something, that you go down in the comments and mention it. But damn, this looks good. Wow. I can't believe it. This might be the best that my test tube has ever looked with the U5000. So, okay, let's get this one off and we'll move on to the second one and see how that one goes. All right, so yeah, we did have a piece of crap 3688. We had a bad insulator on the MOSFET that was causing the sparking, and the if you recall it before when I was trying to adjust B+ and the sparking was happening, I assumed it was something I had touched or did, but no, it was sparking not because something I did, was because it was sparking due to this insulator that was causing issues. So that was the cause of that. We had the 3 broken pots. We had the bad Q708. Was that right? Yeah, and then we had the open R760. So yeah, that was it on the first one. So I'm going to take, well, I'll just put this stuff over here for now. I might need a picture of it later. And I want to make sure of something. Yeah, okay. Sorry. All right, so now let's move on to our second one. And let's see if we can be as successful with the second one as the first one. The U5000, like I say, gets a bad rap, but it's not any different, you know, in theory, than the other ones. But so here we have another neck board. It does appear to be complete, and I don't see any caps bulging. I don't see any physical damage. We got more neck board transistor shenanigans, but oh wow, okay, yeah, they've been messed with before. But it doesn't matter. I can clean them up. Not a big deal. I didn't show it, but you just take all the transistors out of the board, clean up the pads with your fiberglass pen or whatever pen you want to use. Clean the pads up, put the transistors back in, solder them back in, align them back up. It's not really tough or rocket science, so shouldn't be too difficult. Now, okay, neck board appears to be good. Do we have everything we need for this one? Remote board and such. I see there's already an R104, so one step better than the last one. And that other one, I'm going to order the R104s and fuses and all the stuff that we need to get it ready to put it back on the shelf or on the shelf for a spare. So, but for now it's repaired, and I'll order all the stuff I need later. See, this one has the updated inductor with just the ferrite bead, and you notice how this one isn't all burned up like the other one. So it's the same thing, it's a U5000, but this one has the updated, better inductor, and obviously it doesn't burn up the board. I could have done that with the other one, but that's the one that's supposed to be on there per that revision of the chassis. So that's why I went with that one. Let's put that over there. And this is the one that was labeled as Sparky. Let's see if our remote board survived. This one appears to not have any broken pots, so we're one step ahead, 2 steps ahead. R104, 3. R104 inductor and this. We're 3 steps ahead of the other one already. This one's missing a flyback, and it looks like someone's replaced R303 because they probably had R302, I should say, because they had vertical collapse. This has been replaced. Again, original caps. Holy crap. This has some type of major problem. Look at this. This one might be a parts board. Holy crap, look at that. Wow. The pin isn't. It's the outside. I think this might have been, oh, I see. The original B+ resistor here must have been bent over and touching it or something, but holy crap, I've never seen that before. Wow, that's straight through. but the pin isn't. I mean, the main part of the connector is not burned, it's just the outside. That is odd. But look at this one compared to our last one. You can see here that how this is all burned up. Let me show you what I do here is I will just remove this. This is what I did on the other one off camera. I take this out of here and I'll go through and slightly push down on the little locking tab on this connector and pull the pin out. You don't want to push down this tab too hard or it'll pop through into the socket. You'll never get it back out to lock back in again. So there we go. Now we can just bend up this little tab again. There we go. And you can see how a little fiberglass pin will kind of bring the shine back to this and get all this oxidation off of here. This one is stubborn. And there you go. So I go through and do that to all of these, and this should snap back in like so. So I go through and do that to all of these. I'll do that off camera, but that's what I do to clean these up. And then as far as the actual pins here, you don't necessarily need to remove them from the board. If you have one of these, and I'll link it down below, that you just stretch out, and you can just clean, because the socket only touches this side of the pin. So if you go through here and just kind of clean all these off, you don't necessarily have to remove these. In the past, I've just removed all these, but you don't actually have to do that. You can get rid of all this oxidation by just going through and doing this, and it shines up the outside of the pin that makes contact with those sockets. But I think I do want to replace, I've got this parts board here that, yeah, I'm gonna remove that and replace it with this one. So I'm not gonna bother cleaning those pins up, but yeah, I'll do that off camera too. But as far as this goes, let's take a look here. Other than that being burned up and this being replaced, everything appears to be intact with the power supply. This one's got no fuse either. And again, same situation. This is missing the little top piece for the MOSFET. And I may have one. And see how this one has the jumper. This one has the factory jumper. The other one was missing. And you have to attach the pin to the deal with the... That's for standard res. You see the pin lines up with the white wire. And then for medium res, you move it over to the empty pin like that. So that's how that's supposed to work. We're going to test it in standard res first, so we'll leave that on there. And this should be attached to here with a screw and a nut like the old one, but it's missing, so we'll take care of that probably off camera too. But we're just worried about the power supply for now, so let's see. I still got the other one out of this bag, but it looks like he doesn't have the one for this chassis. And I did want to review this. I call it Sparky because last time I tried to fire it up, Q101 sparked. Well, and then also, if we recall, it was, yeah, so I think he might have gotten these backwards because this is the one that was labeled as Sparky, I thought. Yeah, this is the one that was labeled as Sparky. I think he may have got these packaged backwards because the other one was sparking because of that bad missing piece on the top of the MOSFET. So this might have been, he might have had these backwards, but that's okay. Let's go through here and find that missing top piece. I'm pretty sure I've got one in here. Maybe not. And it doesn't look like I've got one. That's okay. We'll chance it here. Maybe we can get away with not needing it. I think the other one might have just simply had a bad insulator and wouldn't necessarily need that top mounting piece, but we'll try and get away without using it. So it's not the end of the world. We'll just make sure that it's not shorting to the frame. Again, it's got a bunch of thermal paste on there, but I'm sure it's not an issue. But let's see what it says again. I call it Sparky. That was, I think Sparky was the other one, the first one. I think this one is the Daytona. Originally had no power, but it did pass light bulb test, but not blowing fuses. Started blowing fuses after I replaced Q101 as a donor. Okay, well, let's test it and see what it reads. Because like the other one, it should read 0.5 to one leg and 1.0 to the other in diode mode. So if we go to red lead on the top, it should be 0.5. That's shorted. This is shorted. Yep. Yep, so that would explain it. I've got brand new ones. We can slave in there, or install, I should say. Well, that would do it for sure. Blow the fuse, I mean, or cause a problem. And I think I have, hopefully I have one more flyback. Get out of the way, you stupid meter. I dropped them both. Just call me Mr. Butterfingers. I think it's on the floor somewhere. Jeez. That did not want to come out of there. So here it is. The insulator looks fairly okay, but I'm not going to reuse it because it's covered in the thermal paste that you don't need. You don't need to put thermal paste on this stuff. I don't know why it happens, but we don't need it. These don't run hot enough to really need thermal paste. Now, the U5000, the U5000 runs really hot. Some of them run really hot, I should say, but the ones that have the really large heatsink, yeah, you don't really need the thermal compound on the 7400, 7500. I guess maybe on the U2000, 5000, maybe, but I've never used it and never had a problem. But let's make sure this is not shorted out of circuit. I was rambling there, sorry. Let's make sure it's not shorted. So we'll go to the base here. We'll just touch each leg. Nothing there. Yep, it's shorted. Well, nope. Hang on. That's supposed to be. This leg is supposed to read to that one. That's correct. Oh, it's not shorted out of circuit. Are the legs still shorted? No. Huh. Oh, I don't think that this was shorted. I think it was shorted to the frame from another bad insulator or something, because I'm gonna put this back in. This isn't shorted. No, it's not. So center leg to the out one, across, this way, no. That's not shorted. So I think it was shorted because of the insulator was touching the frame. And I wish I had another one of those little offset things, but I don't. So I guess what we'll do is I'll line this back up here. Put the screw through there. Of course the pad lifted. Why wouldn't it? Par for the course on these pieces of crap. Okay. So let's solder this back in without that attached to the frame. And I'll bet you our short goes away. That's why it's always important, case in point, to always test your component out of circuit as well. So there's soldered back in, and let's remove the screw and kind of bend that away, and it is not touching the frame. And let's see if our short is still there. Positive in diode mode on the center pin. We should have 0.5 to this one, if I recall correctly. Do I have this backwards? Yes, I have it backwards. Negative. Negative on the top middle pin, and 0.5 to the right leg. 0.48, that's fine, and 1.0 to this leg. There you go. So the short's gone because we had the, I don't know if this is a MOSFET, so it's drain, what is it? Drain, source, and something else, I forget. I don't know which one of these is drain, which one of them is source, but obviously it was shorting to our frame, and probably because of that stupid thermal paste. So let's grab a brand new insulator without thermal paste. And let's use a plastic one here. Well, no, let's just use one of these. That's what they're for. Let's use a silicone one. All right. And let's see if that gives us a light bulb illumination. We got to test R104, make sure it's 10K also before we do that, but all right, so that's in. Okay, it just needs to be snug. You don't have to crank the ever-loving crap out of it. It just needs to be snug. So now that we have that redone there, let's test it one more time. Negative on the top, 0.5 to the right, and it's shorted again. What in the world? There could be a little burr. When this kind of stuff happens and it shorts out to the frame, sometimes it arcs and creates a little burr on the back of the component that will poke through the insulator. That's very common. So I'm going to add another insulator. I'm going to add a second one on here. I'm going to add one of these on here. One of these. That can't easily be poked through. And we'll try that. If I can magically make this work, that'd be nice. Can I see through it? Oh, this might work. First try. Ha ha! Rubber, baby, buggy, bumper, punky, Brewster, now I hump her with my itsy bitsy teeny weeny shrunken small white peony. Alright, so now we'll try it again. Purple rain, purple rain. Did we get 0.5 this time? No. What? What the? What in the world? I might have to take this off and sand it. So with that nut screwed down to the frame, it's not shorted. There's 0.5 and 1.0. So there's something poking through our insulators and shorting that out. What in the world is it? I'm mystified. So let's remove it again and see if we can determine what exactly is causing that. I don't see anything, but we're gonna try and sand this down. Now, do I have... Yeah, I'm gonna grab... Alright, sorry about that. What I'm going to do is use this Scotch-Brite here and just kind of see if I can get rid of any kind of microscopic... Yeah, somebody had over-torqued this and I think they created a little mark on it and it was poking through the... But 2 insulators? I don't know, let's try that, see if that helped at all. We know the MOSFET's good, it's just a matter of tracing down or fixing this. The burr is not on here, I don't feel anything. Yep, of course. Nothing's ever freaking easy. Like I said in the first video, it's a big conspiracy. Don't have this hole opened up enough. I'm about to just cut away until I can get this in here because it's taking too long, and I'm sure most of you are already speeding through the video anyway. This stupid filter cap is keeping me from getting this in here too. I don't know, hold on, I'm gonna get up in and come back. Okay, let me explain to you why this is the amateur channel. For some reason, it just completely blanked over my head that the reason that this thing has this little plastic standoff piece is because the metal in here is exposed. And when you grind into the metal here with the nut, it's touching the ground here, or I guess it's the drain on the MOSFET, is grounding it out. Regardless of how many insulators you stack on here, it's grounding through the metal when you drag or dig the nut into the screw, which then touches this part of the metal. It'll never work that way. So it turns out that this particular chassis, this is a diode, it's D707. It may look like an IC, but it's actually a diode. And the diode that was installed in this chassis looked like this one. This is what was installed in there, and it actually had this little standoff piece on it. And again, for the same type of purpose. You put the screw through there, it'll short out to the drain there. I'm guessing that's what that is. But my little parts U5000 had the other version of that diode that's got the different package that doesn't require that. You'll see there that it's got the plastic package versus the metal package. So, see, and this one has a little plastic standoff. There's a little plastic spacer in there to prevent needing to use, again, one of these things. So I probably could have gotten away with using a little spacer like that over here, but I don't have one. So I took out the D707 from the parts chassis that doesn't need this thing, installed it in here, and took the original D707 out, and I'm using this now for this MOSFET. So just what a giant hassle this has become. So we'll just go ahead and put this in here. It's got a little piece there to plug into the hole on the MOSFET, and it should snap right in. There we go. And then we can take this and put this through here, and if everything lines up here properly, it should go right through, but it's not, because we need to lower this a bit. There we go. Why is everything difficult? There we go. Okay, success. Now I lost the nut here. So now this should work with no more problems. So with this nice and secure up against that. Any bets on whether this will work now? Hey, 0.5 and 1.0. Now what about our D707? I didn't solder it back in, so let's solder it back in. And make sure it's good. Other way, good. 0.46. So, man, what a hassle and nightmare that was. Okay, let's make sure R104 reads correctly. And I'll toss these in here. R104, we're going to ohm, should be 10K. 10 to 13K is usually around where these like to sit. Should be 10K though, but okay, 9.6, that's good. And we know our MOSFET's good. All of our components are intact. So let's just see what we get here. Light bulb. And we'll hook it to the W159 that's already removed per the instructions. Right here. Ground over here. And power. Oh, this is all bent up. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Another reason this is the amateur channel. There's no fuse. And I overlooked it. Take 2. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. What's our voltage? 50 volts. So something is wrong. So we have a good MOSFET, but our power supply is only putting out 50 volts. In Cleveland, it's worth 50 volts. Let's take a look here. Man, a lot of dry solder joints. Especially around these diodes. So let's reflow this a bit. I don't expect this to do much, but we can try it. We're only getting half of the phase. You know, you get 110 volts, we've only got 50 volts. So we're getting basically half of the AC. So it's like there's an open AC circuit somewhere. We could have a bad B plus pot. Now I realize we're reading in DC mode, of course, obviously, but something is amiss. So we got to get our power supply section working first and then see where we're at. I don't see any issues here. I don't see anything visually. We could have a bad IC 101 or U101. IC 101 is on the Neotex, but yeah, I don't see anything. So let's try to get after reflowing those joints. I don't expect it to do anything, but let's see. Gosh darn it. Nope, it's still 50 volts. Okay, well, let me do some troubleshooting in the interest of time. When I find the problem, I'll come back and we'll show what I found. Well, okay, after about 30 minutes of troubleshooting, replacing capacitors, going through replacing the U101, thinking that something's wrong with those components, going through and testing every component, I couldn't find a single thing wrong. Every resistor, every diode, every capacitor, everything checked okay. Couldn't figure it out. Well, out of desperation, I changed out the transformer. I have the parts chassis here, and I stole the transformer, same part number, the 53X0631-001. Stole the one from here, put it in here, and it works. So there's a dead output on this transformer somehow, so it's never the transformer until it is. So fortunately I have the parts chassis here. So yep, it was a bad bad transformer. So we're going to take this and add this to, well, our first bad component. But I think maybe the MOSFET being faulty maybe took the transformer out. I mean, I'm not sure really what's happening here, but yeah, it's just weird. I mean, I'm not sure what is going on. Comparing it to this other one here, it looks the same, so I'm not sure really what's going on. But with this transformer in here, we only get 50 volts. With the one from our parts board in here, we get our 100 and whatever it is. So let's measure and see what we get for our B+. Hopefully somewhere around 117. 121. Wow, okay, so let's turn this. I did already off camera break the glue off of this pot because it was pretty heavily glued in place. 118. And let's just put it somewhere around 117. Well, 116. Let's go back up to like 118 if we can. 117.3. We'll just leave it there for now. Okay, well, there you go. Bad transformer in the power supply. Never would have imagined that. I think that might be the first time ever. But that was changed out of desperation, and sure enough, the last thing I checked was the problem. So that is something I've never seen before. But hey, now we have a functional power supply. Everything is good. So we can proceed on with testing other stuff. And yeah, off camera, I did go ahead and tie this off here so it's not going back and forth, breaking the wires off over there. And I did socket the U101, thinking that maybe that's the problem. I replaced all the capacitors here in this area. The only ones that are in the actual power supply are the 100 volt 22 microfarad and the 250 volt 100. Those are the only ones I'm really concerned with. But I went ahead and changed out these two here as well, since I was just in the area. But so that's all done. Now it's just a matter of putting this back together and kind of proceeding on from this point. So I think what I'm going to do here is, now that we've solved that problem, I'm going to cut away again. I'm sorry, I know. I'm going to cut away again. I'm going to replace this connector I'm going to put the W159 jumper back in, do a little bit of cleanup, and then the whole thing needs to be capped, but I'd like to go ahead and test it before I cap it. In case there's something wrong, I'll know that it was present before I capped it, because you always want to try and do a test prior to doing the work, because if you do all the work and then test it, it doesn't work, you don't know if it's something you did or if it was like that before. So it's better to go ahead and try it if you have if it's in a situation or in a configuration where you can test it. You always want to try and test it before you do the rework on it, in case something is wrong and you don't know if it's something you did or was like that before. Like, repeat myself, but get that out there. So it looks like everything is complete. A little dirty, but yeah, so I'm going to cut away and come back with this replaced. It's just a simple matter of desoldering the original and putting in the new one. It's not a big deal. Get the jumper reinstalled, and that might be all I really want to do. A lot of heat in this area. The medium res, when you have a chassis that runs on medium res for years and years, medium res takes its toll on these because medium res runs much hotter than standard res. I don't know why, but it just does. So they talked about replacing Q708, which looks like, yes, they did. Q703. Now Q708 does not look like they've changed that out. So we might want to go ahead and test R760 and R765. So R765 again should be about 33 k ohm in circuit, and we get 33. R760, if you recall, is between 100 and 500, and we get 466. Fantastic. So that stands to reason our Q708 should be good. So yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Now it does have the same type of crappy C3688, and I'll leave it in there just for, the thrill of seeing if it fails like the other one did immediately. But it tests okay. So yeah, this one tested okay also, but as soon as we turned it on, it immediately shorted. And just so you can see, it is shorted. 15 ohms and 0.2, so yeah, these things just, they don't handle a load at all. The initial high voltage that goes through this thing, it just kills it. They're just junk. I put that FJL 6920 in there, and you saw it ran perfectly. So if you put in a 6920 and it blows, then you know you have a problem. But if you blow out one of these 3688s, put an FJL in there, and if it works, you're fine. So that should be good. This is part of our horizontal circuit, the R765, R760, and Q708. If that's all good, then your HOT should be fine. So, all right, I'm going to take this connector off and put the jumper back in. I'm going to come right back. And then, actually, you know what? I'll probably try and find a flyback and put that in as well. I'll come back with this to a point to where we can actually hook it up to a board and test it, and then kind of see what it does. Okay, so I got it all here on the tube. We got the connector replaced here. This is the original, all burned up. Jeez. There was also a little white wire for some reason attached to one of the flyback pads that went to another part on the trace. I don't know why it was there. There was nothing wrong with the trace, so I got the little wire removed. So connector replaced, wire removed, transformer replaced, so our power supply we know is good. I got a new flyback installed, and I was completely incorrect. I am sorry. I talked about how the flyback that was included in this box with the other parts was a K7000 flyback, but I was absolutely incorrect. It, in actuality, is a U5000 flyback, but it has the same style and design as the 7000 flyback, but it had the extra ground wire coming out the bottom that's not used on the 7000. So I thought it was 7000 upon first glance. It was not. And I apologize, because it actually, in fact, was a U5000 flyback. So if you were screaming at the screen when you were watching it saying, no, that's a 5000 flyback, that's not a 7000 flyback, you dolt, well, you were right. I messed that up. So with all the rework that we need to do to be able to test this done, I went ahead and did get the screw installed in this vertical sweep mod with through the heatsink here. So we're not worried about B+ right now. We're just checking to see if it turns on and gives us any kind of raster or image. I do have an MK2 board plugged in that I used the first time on the first one. So we're just concerned on whether or not it even turns on and powers up. If it does, it gives us an image, and the image it does give us is good, and we don't have any actual problems. We'll just go through and do the reflow, the rest of the recap, and tightening things up and finish this up. So let's just see if it turns on enough jibber jabber. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. No, tick, 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 tick. So yeah, I think that HOT just immediately died, just like the last one. I wanted to leave it in there and not change it out, just to see what would happen. But again, you can hear it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Tick, 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 tick. Yep. HOT. So those 3688s are complete total junk. I'll put an FJL 6920 in there, and I'll come right back and we'll fire it up again, see what it does with the FJL in there. Okay, so we got the FJL 6920 installed. We got the original well, not the original, but the replacement C3688 that was in there that immediately shorted. That's out, and of course it does read shorted, so it died. So I'll bet that this will work now. Oh, I forgot to plug in my little frame jumper here. So these don't like to be hooked up without a screw installed to ground the chassis to the frame, so I just take another extra alligator clip and do that. So hooked up there. So all right, let's see if it happens. Let's see if it happens. Let's see what happens now. And if it turns on, let's try take 2 here. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Piece of crap. Right there, piece of crap. And it's running. So I do have the MK2 hooked up, and I think the flyback's actually turned down. So let's go ahead and turn it up slightly here on the G2 on the screen pot. And hey, we got an image. All right. Brightness works. Contrast. Oh, wrong way. Okay, let's do... Yeah, that vertical hold? That's not vertical hold, is it? Oh, hey, there we go. But we've got something else going on here. It's probably just caps. Let's adjust our focus. Yeah, there's an oscillation problem. See this? I have faced this issue in the past, and it's usually something around this circuit right here. But I'm not going to call anything bad just yet, because we still have to cap it and reflow it. So, but as you can see, I wonder if H hold has any bearing on it. Let's see here. Well, let's go in the menu here. If I adjust the H hold, oh look, it goes away completely. As I move it around here, yeah, so with it like that, there's a horizontal oscillation problem on this. Now, is it something with U701? Is it something in the circuit? I don't know. And here's a prime example of why, if you can, you want to fire it up and run it before doing any rework, because that way you know that after you're done, you don't know if something you did cause this or if it was there before, which I think I've said that 3 times now. But yeah, there's something wrong with the H-hold circuit here. Yeah, see. Wait a minute, maybe not. Let's adjust H position. Ah, there we go. I'm a numbskull. So H position was maxed out to the right, and H hold was too far left. I forget. But now, we didn't have a problem. Okay, I jumped the gun here. Let's go up here to diagnostic tests. Let's go to monitor patterns, crosshatch. And this doesn't look bad as it is. Wow. Let's mess with our width here. Okay, let's do H position. Slightly this way. Let's do our height and position. Hey, we got a full screen. Look at that. Ta-da! All right, this works. Let me cap it, reflow it, and we'll do a final test all the way through and see how it goes. But yeah, so far, only thing that was wrong with this was the MOSFET didn't have that little piece on top, and it was arcing or shorting to the frame that was taking out the fuse. So that was problem number 1. Problem number 2 was bad transformer in the power supply. Then we had the burned up connector here for 15 kilohertz, and then we had a piece of crap C3688 repro. So don't even buy those, get the FJLs. Did I say that already? I think so. But I think before we do that, let's go ahead and turn this off and verify that 25 kilohertz works, just in case something else doesn't work on the back end. We know it worked beforehand. Move that jumper, and don't forget to move this jumper to the empty pin. And I'm going to have to swap out the PCB here. We'll set that there. Grab this. Plug this in. I know I can use my TPG for this, but I like to use actual PCBs in real-world scenarios. So now it should work. 1, 2, 3. Yep, comes on. No issues. We'll have to readjust our H position here, but hey, 25 kilohertz medium res also works. H position. Nice. And we'll have to turn our contrast down and everything, but do. And there we go. Okay, turn our contrast down. Turn our brightness up. And that works too. We already know we have full screen, so, well, there's some issues here. I turn the brightness is kind of going wonky here. But we got to cap it. So I'll cap it, reflow it, make some adjustments, and we'll come back here and do some final B+ adjusting and shutdown pot adjusting and color adjusting and everything like we did before with the first one. And hopefully we'll end up being here 2 for 2. So stand by for one moment. Well, here it is, number 2, all done. Capped, reflowed, inspected, put back together, neckboard rework complete, easy for me to say. It's been all cleaned up and everything. All of the transistors and heat sinks have been moved away from each other so they're not inducing heat onto the other components. Everything's aligned. Everything is nice and clean. And yeah, we're ready to put this back on a tube and give it a try. We know it already works, so we need to turn it on, make sure it works after the rework. And it's still in medium res, so we'll just use the Cruis'n USA again and then go back to MK2, the other reverse order. And the bottom side's all cleaned up and everything. It looks like it's not, but this is just heat damage from, you know, this resistor here is the B+ resistor that burned up and burned that connector. So that's why this is discolored, and same thing kind of up here. But it's all back together, reflowed. I didn't mention before, but the CGA connector was missing completely. I stole it from my parts board, put it on here. I don't think I mentioned it until now, but yeah, I did do that. Obviously, I did that before, so we could do the testing on it previously. But it's all back together, cleaned up, reflowed, clean, all that stuff. So let's get this on a tube and see if we are totally 2 for 2 and mark these off as being done. Okay, I'm back on the tube here. Everything is connected. We got our anode, neck, yoke, ground, power, video, and remote. We got our B+ ready to read. Again, the B+ test point's right there next to that 33 microfarad cap. There's a little test point there. And ground, of course, is going to the frame, and I have my other, that's going to here actually, but my other ground loop for not having the screw down on the chassis. And there is, I do have the Cruis'n USA hooked back up, so everything's ready for testing, but I realize now I forgot to reconnect my circuit breaker. All right. So unless I mess something up, this should work, and then we can get our B+ adjusted to 117 or so, but let's see what we get. Fingers crossed. 1, 2, 3. All right, it works, but B+ is low, 114. Wow. Okay, but let's go ahead and see what we get here. Vertical hold looks like it needs adjusted. Nice, there we go. Okay, yeah, it's still working, but we need to make some serious adjustments here. Let's go ahead and get the camera set up and make some adjustments here. Okay, so let's start with brightness all the way down, contrast all the way down. We'll turn up our screen pot to roughly there. Brightness up to there, back down till it just gets black. Contrast up slightly, and that looks phenomenal. Okay. Our B+ is one. Now the B+ between standard and medium kind of shifts. I think if I put the B plus around 115 on medium res, it ends up around 117 with standard. So we'll go up to about 115 here. Obviously, you never do this with power on. Other way, so that's what is always difficult about this. And 113.7. It's always difficult trying to turn this pot when it's in the board, or in the chassis, or in the frame, I should say. Okay, yeah, 115.0 on the nose. Okay. So we know all of our adjustments work. I gotta say though, even this chassis looks fantastic too, so we're doing well here. So if you look here, we are at 115.3, which should be somewhere close to 117 with standard res, but I think we're good on, oh, I forgot to mention all the color pots are adjusted the way they're supposed to be. You know, it's 25%, 25%, 25%, and the drives are 50 and 50. No, I'm not the drives. The green drive, red drive are at 50%, and then the RGB cutoffs are at 25%. And we'll just kind of adjust from there if need be. This looks pretty good as it is, but let's go ahead and adjust our height. Oh, that's actually H hold. Height is this one. Vertical position works. That's pretty good. Let's make sure our width control works, which is this one. Yes, it does. Fan-freaking-tastic. Okay, so let's kill this. And let's grab MK2. Plug in MK2. We'll swap over our main connector to the standard res connection. Move our white jumper wire over to the pin with the white jumper, which for some reason it's not liking. There we go. And that should be ready. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. And okay, so we're about a volt difference. Instead of being 115, it's 116. So there's about a volt difference. I'm going to turn it up to about 116.5. So that should end up being about close enough on both ends. So I'm going to turn this off a little bit, or I'm going to turn it off and then adjust this pot a little bit. Or try to. I can't. Not sure if that did anything. Yeah, there we go. 116.5. So we'll call that good. Close enough. Oh wow, okay. Vertical size, down. H position, over. Width. You can see just how different the resolution settings are for medium versus standard. And we'll skip past this. We'll go into the menu and we'll do diagnostic tests, monitor patterns, crosshatch. Well, that's not bad to start. Vertical position, height, roughly there. Width, that's pretty good. How's our linearity? It's a little bit to the left. Not going to worry too much about it. That's not bad there. Okay, so we'll escape out. Menu, and yeah, I got to turn up settings here a bit. Yeah, it's too dark. Brightness roughly there. Contrast a bit. And those colors are pretty good right where they're at. Gosh darn, that's great. Okay. Now let's do, yeah, focus. That's pretty good there. Okay, well, boys and girls, we are 2 for 2. So, yep. I can check both these off the to-do list, put them on the shelf downstairs, and save them for a rainy day. So, yeah, this one had the bad transformer, the missing CGA connection, the burned up standard res connector for the resolution setting, crappy C3688 HOT replacement, and that odd white wire. But Otherwise, this is great. If anything, we need to turn green up a bit, blue up a bit, and it's a bit better, red slightly. That's good. Nice. Okay. Well, that being said, we are 2 for 2, so thank you for sticking with this extra long video, and I appreciate you watching. As always, hopefully you learned something. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, as I say every time. And obviously, as you saw at the beginning of the video, I got lots more to do, so stay tuned, and we'll see you then. Nope, scratch that. Back on handheld mode here. I forgot to set up the shutdown. So we saw before we were on 16.5 for B+, but I forgot to get our shutdown pod adjusted. So let's go ahead and show that on camera. So, oh, holy crap, you gotta be kidding me. The shutdown's supposed to be 0.1. Oh man. And it's right on target without me having to touch it. So, fantastic. All right, well, perfect. That being said, I'll say it again here. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.